Hello, dear friends. When the last tree has died, the last river has been poisoned, and the last fish has been caught, we will realize that we cannot eat money. Proverb of the Cree Indians of North America. In a natural economy, the currency is not money but life, according to Vandana Shiva. Opinion piece. Starting with a clean slate. Global debt Jubilee. Sovereign debt reset. Starting from scratch. Leaving the past behind. Doctrine of odious debts. Universal debt cancellation. Let's start. Starting with a clean slate is a popular expression that means forgetting past mistakes, problems or debts and starting over as if nothing had happened. It is used to refer to the decision to leave negative events behind and begin a new chapter without holding grudges or regrets. In short, a clean slate encourages turning the page, letting go of resentment and starting fresh, as if past mistakes or debts never existed. The phrase's origin is linked to ancient writing and accounting, where mistakes in books were corrected by making a blot, an ink stain, and starting a new entry. This practice was transferred to language as a symbol of a new beginning and the desire to leave the past behind. This applies to both personal and professional situations. When someone decides to forget a conflict, or simply restart a phase of their life, but it also applies to the global financial reset. Alcuin Brampton envisions a global debt jubilee or universal debt forgiveness, supported by laws such as the doctrines of odious debts, which cancel debts incurred without the consent or benefit of the population. Money is a new form of slavery, distinguished from the old by its impersonality, by the absence of any human relationship between the master and the slave, said Leo Tolstoy. The doctrine of odious debts is a theory of international law that holds that foreign debts incurred by a government without the consent of its people, used against their interest and with the knowledge of the lenders, are not binding on the state and should not be repaid. According to this view, fraudulent debt can only be resolved with total debt forgiveness. Debt that cannot be repaid is not an asset, but a burden. Debt grows exponentially and unsustainably, while the money supply is insufficient to cover it. Loans must be cancelled because they lack informed consent and provide no benefit for the debtor. The solution to the debt problem would be to cancel all national, corporate and personal debt simultaneously and permanently worldwide. Behind the scenes, all indications are that a universal debt cancellation will be announced and that a global debt jubilee is just around the corner. The doctrine of odious debt has been reviewed. The vaults are full. The precious metals have been audited. The new gold-backed regional currencies are printed, minted and ready. Debt has generated a systemic financial crisis, sustained by a private banking system and loans created out of thin air. Debt forgiveness would free up resources for creativity, entrepreneurship, and a new economy based on real value, not debt. This measure is expected to be linked to new currencies, backed by precious metals and global financial reforms like GISARA. Brampton denounces how debt has become a mechanism of economic enslavement controlled by a global elite and proposes that universal debt forgiveness will be the key to resolving the current global financial crisis and building a new, just and sustainable economic system. One thing to understand about our fractional reserve banking system is that, like in musical chairs, as long as the music plays, there are no losers, said Andrew Goss. According to Josiah Stump, the modern banking system creates money out of thin air. The process is perhaps the most astonishing monkey trick ever invented. Bankers own the wealth, take away their money, but leave them the ability to create it, and with a simple gesture, they will create enough to get it back. When the peoples of the world have a common monetary language, completely free from any government influence, this will facilitate and stabilize trade to such an extent that peace and prosperity will be achieved even without a world government. What this world needs is a union of peoples, not a union of political governments, said Kregel. Countdown. World leaders will jointly declare the end of global debt slavery and announce the ratification of the Sovereign Economic Charter, the constitutional pilot of GSR's implementation. This will mark the official birth of the quantum republics. The final countdown has begun. The hourglass has run out. There are no more delays. As the clock strikes its last note, the world holds its breath. The boss has given the signal. The machinery is in motion. The castle of the tax side crumbles. The banking empire faces its judgment. The banks close their doors, their secrets exposed. Darkness descends, and the blackout is confirmed. It is a new beginning, a great revelation. Stay alert, trust the plan. What is coming will change everything. This is not the end, it is the awakening. It is time to see how history unfolds. Payments. According to EthraCoin, every American will receive $2,000 dividend from the quantum financial system. It's presented as a tariff-based payment, but in reality this would be the first public indication of a new financial network. This isn't economic stimulus, nor it is channeled through banks. It's a direct quantum transaction. The Treasury and the Space Force intelligence systems operate using a secure, frequency-linked registry. Every verified identity within the QFS is linked to a private quantum wallet, designed to instantly transfer value through energy identification without the need for paperwork or government approval. Debt refinement. According to NewsHound News, global financial restructuring is evolving and focusing on debt restructuring, monetary integration, tokenization, AI-powered governance, and geopolitical alignment. Synchronizing these pillars is essential for stability and credibility. Sovereign debt refinement, negotiations on debt relief, and restructuring among developing economies have accelerated, particularly within the framework of the Resilience Trust Fund and China's debt for equity swap agreements in Africa and Latin America. The global debt landscape is changing. Over the past year, dozens of developing economies have quietly initiated negotiations under new frameworks designed to stabilize currencies and attract foreign investment. While headlines focus on trade wars and sanctions relief, sovereign debt restructuring represents a critical pillar of the global financial reset. IMF-led initiatives such as the Resilience Trust Fund are matching with regional debt swaps and bilateral agreements that transforms liabilities into tangible investments. China has restructured some of its Belt and Road debt into equity stakes, creating state-backed public-private partnerships. Meanwhile, the US Treasury and European institutions are experimenting with offsetting green bonds, which allow developing countries to trade environmental improvements for debt reduction. In Africa and Latin America, several countries, including Zambia, Ghana, and Argentina, have entered into new hybrid payment arrangements secured by commodities, signaling a shift from purely cash-based payments to asset-backed debt. This transition points toward a real asset-backed model rather than perpetual indebtedness. The emerging pattern is not default, but controlled restructuring. Major lenders are reclassifying all debt under restructuring mechanisms, giving countries temporary breathing room while simultaneously preserving creditor leverage. The next phase will involve digitally tracked debt instruments, enabling transparent tokenized monitoring of repayment schedules. Sovereign debt restructuring lays the groundwork for everything that follows: monetary integration, the tokenization of digital assets, and geopolitical negotiation. Without stabilizing sovereign balance sheets, no global reset can be credible. The world's monetary architecture is being rebuilt from its most vulnerable point outward. This isn't just politics, it's a global financial restructuring. Reset news. There is a plan in place and the madness will soon end, according to Walter. According to Trump, the future is so bright you will need sunglasses. In his opinion, the current financial system is obsolete. The current system will be replaced by a cryptocurrency-based system that will be integrated into the blockchain. According to Kapamur, Trump is in contact with a coalition of whales, but they ordered him to wait before revealing anything. The president alluded to a higher authority preventing him from disclosing information about the mysterious drones. Trump wants to reveal the information, but Elder Ikai must give the signal for the shift before humanity is ready to receive it. Elon Musk has confirmed that Doge can achieve savings of $1 trillion by 2025. Musk has made strong comments about the US debt situation, which he has described as debt slavery. He points out that with the current level of interest payments on the public debt, this already consumes 25% of all government revenue. According to Seeds of Wisdom, Saudi Arabia is pushing for the creation of a domestically issued stablecoin, regulated by its central bank and capital markets authority, as part of its strategy to modernize its financial system. This initiative aims to modernize finance as the copper market faces a significant shortage. X22 report, while the EU and other nations are moving toward implementation of central bank digital currencies, the US is preparing to go in the opposite direction. The US is maneuvering to break free from the free trade system. The promise is the concept of returning true purchasing power to people. This change would restructure the economic landscape and is expected to surprise everyone with its scope and positive impact on individual freedom and financial stability. It sets the stage for the decisive confrontation between centralized global governance and local economic sovereignty. Health. New era of healing. According to Mr. Paul, the first quantum medicine hospitals are already operating hidden from public view. No surgery, no medication, only frequency and light. Within these facilities, patients are not cured, they are regenerated. DNA is rewritten. Age becomes a variable. The world will witness what it was never meant to see. Chinese scientists are developing a new drug designed to extend human lifespan, potentially allowing people to live up to 150 years. This will only increase life expectancy by adding another 150 years until it becomes normal to live between 500 and 700 years. Chinese scientists, through the company Longbin Biosciences, are developing an innovative drug based on grapeseed extracts, specifically procyanidin C1, which has studies in rodents have shown it can increase lifespan by up to 64%. This compound works by eliminating so-called zombie cells or senescent cells, which contribute to aging, and protects healthy cells. Research is underway to adapt this formula for humans in order to extend life to 150 years. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.